I want to tell you something that may feel difficult to believe right now. Especially if you've been waiting. Especially if you've been trying. Especially if you've been carrying questions that still don't have answers. Especially if you've been doing your best and wondering whether any of it is actually leading anywhere. Listen carefully. You may be closer than you think, not because everything is about to change tomorrow, not because life suddenly becomes easy, not because some invisible force is preparing to hand you everything you've been hoping for, but because transformation rarely feels the way people expect it to feel. Most people imagine progress as something obvious, visible, easy to measure, a straight line from where they are to where they want to be. But some of the most important movement in life happens quietly, without applause, without evidence, without immediate results. And because of that, people often mistake progress for stagnation, growth for confusion, preparation for delay. They leave too early. They stop trusting too soon. They assume nothing is happening, when in reality, everything is already moving. Think about this. If you plant a seed today and return tomorrow, nothing appears different. Return a week later. Still nothing. Return again. Still silence. From the surface, it looks like nothing is happening. But underground, everything has already begun. Roots are forming, systems are building, energy is gathering. Life is organizing itself in ways the eye cannot yet recognize. Your life works more like that than most people realize. There are seasons that look empty from the outside, but internally, they are changing everything. And perhaps that is where you are right now. Maybe lately you've been asking yourself questions you never used to ask. Questions like, why does everything feel slower? Why don't I feel excited by the same things anymore? Why do I feel like something is changing, but I can't explain what? Why do I feel close to something and far from it at the same time? Those questions matter, because they often appear during a very specific phase. Not the beginning, and not the end, but the phase right before things become visible. The strange thing about life is that the final stage before change often feels exactly like uncertainty. Not confidence, not certainty, uncertainty, because clarity belongs to the chapter you've already lived. Growth belongs to the chapter you're entering, and growth rarely announces itself. It unfolds quietly, one realization at a time, one decision at a time, one invisible shift at a time. You may not realize it, but look at who you were a year ago. Look at what used to consume your thoughts. Look at the fears that once controlled your decisions. Look at the version of yourself that believed certain things would break you. And now look at yourself. You survived things you thought you couldn't survive. You learned things you never expected to learn. You became stronger in places nobody sees. You became softer in places that used to stay guarded. You became wiser in ways that don't show up on paper. And because these changes happened gradually, you forgot to notice them. But they happened, and they count. Maybe more than you realize. There is something people don't talk about enough. Sometimes progress doesn't look like gaining. Sometimes progress looks like no longer needing what you once thought you needed. Less approval, less certainty, less control, less explanation, less permission. That is progress too. Sometimes becoming more yourself means becoming less attached to who you used to be. That process feels strange, because identity doesn't disappear all at once. It loosens, slowly, quietly. until one day you realize you are standing in a life your past self could not have imagined. And you don't remember exactly when the change happened, only that it did. This is why I want to say something directly to you. Do not confuse invisibility with absence. Just because you cannot measure it does not mean it isn't happening. Just because others cannot see it does not mean it isn't real. Just because you don't have proof yet does not mean you're not moving. There are seasons designed to teach trust, not because life wants to test you, but because trust allows you to continue before certainty arrives. And that matters. Because many people stop right before things begin changing, not because they failed, but because they became convinced that nothing was happening. They looked at the surface and forgot that roots do not grow where people can see them. If you've been feeling tired lately, that does not automatically mean you're off path. If you've been questioning things, that does not automatically mean you're lost. If you've been changing quietly, that does not automatically mean you're behind. Sometimes those are signs that movement is already happening. Slow, invisible, but real. And I think there is something inside you that already knows this. You wouldn't still be here otherwise. You wouldn't still care. You wouldn't still feel pulled towards something more. You wouldn't still keep searching. You wouldn't still be listening. Something inside you already believes, even if your mind hasn't fully caught up yet. And perhaps that is what this message is here to remind you. You do not need to force the next chapter. You do not need to control every outcome. You do not need complete certainty. You only need enough trust to take one more step, and then another, and another. Because life is often built that way, not through giant moments, but through quiet persistence, through invisible preparation, through becoming. You may be much closer than you think, closer to peace, closer to clarity, closer to alignment, closer to understanding, closer to becoming the person you've quietly been growing into. Not because tomorrow changes everything, but because transformation may already be happening. And perhaps one day you'll look back at this season and realize something beautiful. You were never stuck. You were becoming. Before you leave this video, I want you to write something in the comments. Write, "I trust what I cannot see yet." Not for me, not for anyone else. For yourself. Because trust becomes stronger when it is spoken. And because sometimes the greatest act of courage is continuing before proof arrives. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are not too late. You may simply be standing in the quiet space where life changes first. And if that's true, then you're closer than you think.